it was such an exhilarating feeling because I started to get my spark back. I felt like, wow, okay, I am confident. I am brave. I'm doing all these things. I'm taking care of myself. And that started to help change the narrative in my head. The thoughts that you have every single day is creating the life that you have right now. And it might be the roadblock to living the life that you deserve and that you love. Take it from me. I started here crying every single day, feeling like I had low self worth, to now I was able to live life to the fullest and being able to travel to places and being there for longer than I could ever even imagine. And now I have a solid footing of my self worth. I have better confidence, and I know more and more what my voice is. And I am allowing myself to give power to the thoughts that are going to continue to push me forward instead of holding me back. These thoughts that have been plaguing your mind has been there since you couldn't even acknowledge. You may have been conditioned to think that way. For me, some of the reoccurring thoughts that come into mind was that I was not worthy enough, that I'm stupid, that who am I to think that I'm going to make a difference? Those feelings and those emotions get magnified and reproduce and manifest in your body in ways that reflect sickness, body aches, stomach issues. And that is why personally I was experiencing a lot of health issues. I was sick on the reg. I was so sick of being sick. I just feel like, and I'm a germaphobe. Like I'm very careful with like, making sure I'm cleaning everything that touches my mouth. I'm not touching knobs. I'm using my elbows. I am breaking out consistently. My skin was horrendous, horrendous. And I couldn't sleep well. There was just a laundry list of things that I just felt completely disconnected to my body. I felt really lethargic. I had no motivation to really do anything. And combined with being in a toxic relationship that kind of cemented those negative thoughts, I grew into a hermit. And that was so unlike me. And in 2023 was the year that I started to prioritize myself in ways that it was hard to learn. I didn't even know where to start. I started with affirmations that I'm like, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, so on and so forth, but they never really kicked in. I didn't believe it. It was just very surface level. Those affirmations did not help me. And so in 2023, I was like, well, I need to do something that gets me out of this rut because I I don't want to continue feeling this way. So I invested in therapy and I went every single week. I wish I went twice a week, quite honestly. If 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 money was never an option, therapy would have been my daily outlet. And because it wasn't feasible, I got a weekly support. I had an amazing therapist. I also combined it with journaling and also knowing that I had to start doing some healthy habits and carving out time for myself to explore hobbies that excite me. And so I started to be more active, riding bikes, doing yoga. I joined jujitsu gym and I was doing things that I'm like, wow, I never would have imagined. I started rollerblading and it was such an exhilarating feeling because I started to get my spark back. I felt like, wow, okay, I am confident. I am brave. I'm doing all these things. I'm taking care of myself. And that started to help change the narrative in my head because the narrative in my head was creating behaviors that were holding myself back. These behaviors of overthinking, being extremely critical of myself. And that constantly replayed in my mind. And then you find yourself in a hamster wheel where you're just like replaying scenes in your head, actually believing these words that you're saying. And I wanted to break that cycle. And with that, I decided to continue pouring into myself. And once I gained more clarity, I knew the things that no longer served me, I had to make a decision. And so in 2024, I don't do New Year's resolutions. I do themes of the year that I want to keep in mind that will help guide my behaviors and my actions. And so the year for 2024 was brave. And I'll tell you what, it took a lot of bravery. And no matter if you're in a relationship of 6 months or a year or a marriage of 12 years, it takes a lot of courage to leave a relationship that no longer serves you. My self esteem was really low. It was, I feel so sad for myself. And I get emotional because, man, like to give power to something that just breaks you down. I feel for myself. I feel for the past version of myself. We were together for 11 years. Yeah, it took me 11 years, but that's okay. At least I got to that point where I knew that this was no longer for me. And I'm proud of my ability to say no more, but I also feel for myself for knowing why I did what I did. I have a lot of compassion for myself. I'm just happy that I was able to break that cycle and I'm here living the life that I'm excited to continue building for myself and in a new lens where really the sky's the limit. I don't have a ball and chain holding me back and thinking that I'm asking for the moon and stars when in reality I was asking to be loved in a way that I deserve. And so I started to pour back into myself because I do honestly believe the biggest love that you can experience is the love that you have for yourself. And I wanted to show up for myself in ways that I was yearning for in my relationship. So, with journaling and affirmations, I dug deeper and I started to practice more self care. And I started to tackle the thoughts that were controlling my behavior and my actions that were suppressing me. Write down all the thoughts that you have throughout the day about yourself, about your worth, about anything about yourself. You write down these thoughts and you realize, I know when I saw my list for the first time and I was like, whoa, no wonder I'm in negative space. No wonder I have low self-worth and I have low confidence. So after you review your list of your reoccurring thoughts, and maybe you do this on a daily basis for a week,
The next step is to reproduce.
a new set of thinking. And this is gonna be hard. It was a struggle for me because in the beginning, I couldn't even think of a positive affirmation that I truly believed in. And sometimes you just have to write it down. And the way to connect with those thoughts and to help you rewire those thoughts is emotion. You look at these thoughts and you start imagining yourself being that person. How does it feel to be confident? So if that's one of your I am confident, start visualizing in great detail what it feels like to be that. What does the world around you, how's your day to day by moving in that thought? If that thought was a fact, how would you move in a day to day? Well, let's say, let's use the example of I'm confident. Well, I would care less what other people think. I understand my worth. I am intelligent. I'm smart. I've been able to do XYZ. I've been able to Continue on. Be very, very specific. And in your mind, when you create this scenario of how it feels to be confident, you'll start connecting with it emotionally. And those emotions will help amplify those thoughts. And that those thoughts, the more repetition, the more that you water them, that seed will continue to grow into a beautiful flower and grow roots that will create core beliefs and eventually will create automatic systems that you don't even have to convince yourself anymore. I want you to remember to give yourself some grace throughout this process. It's going to take consistent growth and repetition to help you rewire your thought process. I I have so many notebooks of me going through the same challenge throughout my life. And that's okay because I know that this is going to be an automatic thing for me in the future. So just remind yourself, just because you are further away from the highest version of yourself doesn't mean that you're not going to get there. In the very beginning stages, you're going to feel like an imposter. It's going to feel like this is fake. I don't believe it because you probably haven't talked to yourself in that way ever. So, of course, you feel detached to it because you don't believe it's true. But in order to begin that journey of that truth, you have to make sure you dedicate and prioritize time every day. So, to take it another step further, after you write your list of your new thoughts and you've played the scene to help capture the emotion around it, record yourself saying your new set of thoughts. I am beautiful. I am capable. I'm more than capable. I am brave. I am spontaneous. I am magnetic. Once you record yourself saying your thoughts, you play that in your car or the first thing that you should be listening to is not what's on social media. It's your list of affirmations. So you can use your voice memo app on your phone and you play it. It's gonna probably feel cringy because no one really enjoys hearing themselves talk, but it's going to work because once you start listening to that and it becomes a habit. So the first thing you wake up, you listen to that. When you go to bed, you listen to that. You can start with like a 30-second clip. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes long. You can gradually work yourself up to that. But again, we're talking about positive habits to break through that pattern of negative thinking. One thing that I also do, because you have to pay attention to yourself, because life does happen. And again, we're talking about rewiring your brain here. So you're going to fall back into old habits. And those habits, if you're not paying attention to it, it's very easy to fall back into that same cycle. So the moment that you catch yourself, and sometimes you're quick with it, sometimes you're like, wait, I've been ruminating on this for the past hour and I haven't done a thing. And I can't even check anything off of my to do list. It's okay. First step is to show yourself compassion and love and grace. It is a hard habit to break. When you acknowledge and build that self-awareness, then that's when you need to redirect yourself. And that redirection is the difference between ruminating and sitting in your thoughts for the entire day, an entire night. And then those days become weeks and then months. And next thing you know, you're back in the same situation. So self awareness is going to be crucial through this process. So that's why journaling is an opportunity for you to keep your finger on the pulse, check in with yourself. How are you feeling? Who's the person you want to be? Once you are able to get you back to the right frame of mind, then out of repetition, out of consistency, you're going to see changes in the way that you show up for yourself. I hope this was helpful to you. If this was, I encourage you guys to stick along. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Have a beautiful day. I'm sending you lots of love and peace, and I really do hope that you take the time to put yourself first today. Take care.